Thank you for following us on part 2 of our blog series to help dental professionals navigate the tricky road to amalgam separator compliance. As mentioned in our previous blog, the Introduction to the EPA Amalgam Separator Compliance blog series, we'll be discussing why dental practices are now becoming regulated in regards to the mercury discharge output. We do not have to address the dangers nor effects of mercury being released into the environment, as it is common knowledge to cause adverse effects on both wildlife and humans. This blog is to explain why dental professionals are now the new target industry for regulation. As most other industries have already been regulated, it is now the dental industry being recognized by the EPA, water treatment plants, and other environmental agencies to be the highest polluters of mercury waste. According to a 2001 study completed by the EPA Mercury Pollution Prevention Study, it shows roughly 50% of mercury that is in our wastewater comes from dental practices. This can be seen in Table 1. This 2001 study by the EPA did not consider the effects mercury amalgam has on wastewater when it settles in water treatment plants. In 2014, studies were released providing evidence that the highest source of mercury pollution comes from the mercury amalgam released by dental practices. As we all know, mercury amalgam contains tin, which has the ionic charge that will release mercury into its free state. When this mercury is submerged underwater or in a liquid, it releases into a soluble mercury at a high rate, causing many water treatment plants not to meet their mercury discharge limits. When the EPA took away the water treatment plant's ability to dilute the mercury to meet their mercury discharge limits, this made the dental industry the next logical choice to be regulated, as dilution is no longer their solution to pollution. Currently, there is an understanding that the best solution to capture mercury waste from the dental practice wastewater is with the use of an amalgam separator. Most first world nations around the world have already required the use of amalgam separators to reduce mercury discharge from dental practices for well over a decade. A study completed by the Royal College of Dental Surgeons of Ontario, or the RCDSO, in 2012 had shown a considerable reduction in mercury pollution with the requirement of amalgam separators in dental practices. The RCDSO did an excellent job explaining where the mercury waste was generated, the size and percentage of the mercury entering the amalgam separator, and the reduction of mercury waste at the dental practice's discharge. This study had found that dental practices without an amalgam separator would release on average 31 million nanograms per liter, or parts per trillion, of mercury into the sewer waste system. Those dental practices with an amalgam separator reduced their discharge to as little as 180,000, or on the average of 180,000 parts per trillion. This study showed a drastic difference in mercury discharge when dental practices installed an amalgam separator and maintained them to manufacturer specifications. That being said, two notable points regarding the RCDSO study. The first is the City of Toronto had found that over the years, 70% of amalgam separators in dental practices are not maintained to manufacturer specifications, leaving them non-compliant. Those dental practices who do service their amalgam separator correctly still is not guaranteed to meet the local discharge standards. It is the experience of both the City of Toronto and the RCDSO that many ISO amalgam separators do not meet their advertised separation percentages in clinical environments. The second notable point, even though the RCDSO has done a very, very good job at testing for solid mercury in this study, in 2002 they lacked the technology to test for soluble mercury. A 2014 study completed in Ohio by Purvis Environmental had found that majority of the ISO tested amalgam separators generate and release soluble mercury, making it difficult for dental practices to meet their local standards. Amalgam separators are still the best available technology to reduce mercury discharge into the wastewater. Dental professionals will have to be diligent when selecting the right amalgam separator to remain compliant. Please continue following this blog series, as we will be discussing how to choose the right amalgam separator that will guarantee compliance with your local control groups. The next blog series will be discussing who will be regulating and implementing the dental amalgam regulation.